about 10 minutes. Yes. Timer 8, 9, 10. I've been given the task of doing an educational session today. Honestly, I don't know why I was given this task, whether it was because I've completed 40 projects or because I've been lying my life through for the last 30 years working as a salesperson. In either case, I've got the job, so I'm going to try and do justice to the job. Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters, guest, good evening.
Good evening.
When you join Toastmasters, the first thing that you want to do is do your project. Because when you are here as a guest, you see people coming up to the stage and trying and saying things that you'd like to listen to. And you often wonder, when will I get the opportunity to come here, stand and deliver the speech? So most of us do a cardinal sin of joining Toastmasters and doing our first project before we are really ready for it. And I think this is something that all of us here need to think very hard. Because what happens is when the Toastmaster of the day does not have a speaker, he puts pressure on the members of the club. Please come and do a project. What do? If you're a nice guy like me, say, okay, I'll do it. And then what do you end up doing? You write a speech that you're not happy about. You don't give anyone to mentor it. You come here and you deliver a speech. Now, have you spent some more time on that speech? On writing that speech? On rehearsing and thinking where and what I should be talking about? That good speech will become a great speech. This is the difference. Most of us commit this sin because when we are in Toastmasters, we decide that now I'm going to start my journey. I want to become a TTM. That's what these speeches mean. But what happens? We start our journey. The first speech goes on within the first few weeks of our joining. Within a couple of months, we've done 4 or 5 projects. And then we take a small break. Now that break is sometimes small, sometimes it's stretched. And I'm sure there are a few people here who know whom I'm talking about. Stretches like paws of theirs. One of them is my mate, unfortunately. But suddenly she's woken up. Sorry, I can't take her name. But she suddenly woke up and she decided that now she's going to do the project. Come on. And what does she do? She writes a speech in the morning. She practices in a car in the afternoon. And in the evening, she's in the club delivering the speech. Now she does another thing. She gets that speech mentored. She gives a mentor 1.5 hours to decide whether the speech is good, ugly, bad. And then if the speech is good, she doesn't say anything. If anybody has said anything bad about the speech, the first thing she does is gives a call and says, oh, you didn't really mentor my speech. Now, so that you don't commit these mistakes, let me give you a few tips. The first thing that I said is do not get pressurized by anybody to write a speech and deliver it. If you want to write a speech, write it, sleep over it, think about it, and make that good speech a great speech. Now, when you go out and you go and meet a friend of yours and you say, I'm going to do a speech in Toastmasters, the first question they'll ask you is, what are you going to speak about? This is a big question that all of us have. Having completed 40 projects, if I were to ask to do my 41st speech, I'm still thinking, what am I going to speak about? So what do you actually speak about? What would you think you would speak about?
About myself.
What do you think?
About something interesting to the audience.
What about you, Julian?
One of my lyrics.
JRT?
Maybe about my passion.
Gino?
Personal life story.
Perfect. Now you've got so many topics to be actually talking about. It's not so difficult, is it? All of us think that when you're supposed to write a project, oh my God, what am I going to write? They are very simple things. You talk about yourself. You talk about your family. You talk about your passions. You talk about what you like, what you don't like. If you've read a book, if you like the book, what did you like about the book? There are so many things that you can write about. It is only about putting that amount of effort to put that down in writing and say that this is what I'm going to talk about. Now, having done that, it doesn't end there, because that's the easiest part of it. Once you start writing this down, then you will need to look at what you're going to talk about. Who is your audience? If I'm coming to deliver a speech in Toastmasters, I know whatever I say, they are going to listen to me. But if I am doing a speech or a project in my office and I'm supposed to make a presentation on, say, good sales technique, if I'm going to go there, sit and talk about my personal life, who's going to listen to me? None of you. If you are sitting in the office and listening to my personal story, you would say, half of you would be on your mobiles looking at your WhatsApp messages, and you wouldn't be interested. So how would you make it interesting? Most important is to know who your audience is. If you know who your audience is, half your job is done. Once you find that out, you know who your audience is, and you start writing your script, and you know what your objective of the script is, start asking yourself a few questions. Is the topic relevant to the audience that I'm speaking to? Do I like this topic? Do I have sufficient knowledge on this subject? Because if I'm going to do a project on, say, population, I don't really care. And if I come here and I'm going to talk about population and say, oh, this is bad, China has got so much population, India has got so much population, it makes no sense to any of you, because I'm not passionate about it. But if somebody were to tell me to deliver a speech on Toastmasters, I'll probably make some of you cry. Because that's how passionate I am about Toastmasters. So when you write a script, when you are going to decide on what you want to talk about, make sure that you talk about a subject that you like, that you think you are knowledgeable. Because if you don't, the whole purpose of delivering the speech just goes down. It is very important for you to ask yourself these questions. Because only if you can tell yourself that you've done justice to what you've written, you'll be able to do justice to yourself. We have a manual which is 10 projects in the first manual that we get as we join Toastmasters. It's called the Competent Communicator Manual. All these projects have got objectives. Each of these projects have got different objectives. So it's not very difficult to decide what you want to speak about. Now, after having written down the objectives, written down what you think should be the mentor of the speech, then the speech should get mentored. So what is mentoring? Each of us have different idols in life. Some of us look up to someone in life whom we think that this is the person I'd like to emulate. In Toastmasters, we're all fortunate because each of us have got a mentor here who will guide us through the process of our Toastmasters. Gino is my mentor, Sujit is my mentee, Sharan is my mentee. So the idea is that not that the mentor knows more than his mentee. No. What it only means is that when you write a speech and somebody else reads it, he will give a different perspective to the whole speech. Just to give you an idea, to make sure that what you are doing is right. There are a lot of people here in this room, I don't know how many of you actually get your speeches mentored. Toastmaster Sujit has been our international champion here. He's probably completed about 30 speeches. Even today, when he writes a speech, his speeches come from mentoring. Gino and me share a different bond. I'm his mentee and he's my mentor, and we have actually got an interchange of mentor and mentee relationship. But even today, he sends a speech and I send my speech to him. Not because I believe that Toastmaster Gino knows more than me, or Gino doesn't send it to me because he believes that I know more than him. No. It's only because we can make that speech the right speech. The whole idea of this is that we come here, and nobody here is a perfectionist. If we were all perfectionists, I don't think we would be standing here. We would not be spending time here. We would not be spending an hour here and listening to people talking. The whole idea is that we all come here to learn. There are different things that you can learn. And the basic thing that I would think that you come here to learn is how you can become a better communicator. And to become a better communicator, you need to write a good script. And if you cannot write a good script, then you cannot come and deliver the speech. So the whole point comes back to the only question is, have you written your script well that you can come and deliver? I've got some write-ups on this. If anybody wants, I can send you the email on that. It's quite a structured way of actually writing the speech on what is required in a speech. So that I can forward it on the email. But since this was an impromptu one, I didn't want to use the slides and change the tempo of the meeting. So that's the reason why I've not done the slides on this. Over to you.
Thank you.